In this section, I'm going to cover a couple of things regarding Linux distributions and open source software, and particularly operating systems. There are a lot of different open source Linux distributions out there, and there are the Knoppix-based, the Ubuntu-based, Gentoo-based, so you can check those out for yourself at some point. Just do a Google search for Linux distributions. And I'm going to also post a graphic here with all the types of distributions that exist out there. There are pretty much hundreds of them. However, the usefulness of them comes into play that if you're starting your own business or you have an older computer, and instead of spending $150 per license per computer for, let's say, Windows 8, you could probably get away by using an open source operating system. And one of the best ones out there at this point is the Ubuntu operating system. So if you go to ubuntu.com, you actually can go and download and test this for yourself. There are a couple of different versions of Ubuntu. There's the Ubuntu desktop, server, and so on. So what you'd want to do is the Ubuntu desktop. Instead of Windows, you're installing Ubuntu operating system. So in this case, you would click on 32-bit or 64-bit. Most of the new computers nowadays, you'd probably use the 64-bit operating system. So you'd click on 64-bit. So you'd go and download this. Click on Get Ubuntu 12.10, for example. And then say, no, take me to the download. And then it's going to download an ISO, what's called a CD image. You can download this to your computer. You'll basically double click on it and then record it onto a CD. It's very simple, very easy. Just basically click on save, double click, pop in a CD in your computer, and it will record the CD. Then once you have it on the CD, you can install it on an existing computer. You can actually test this on your own computer as well. You can either boot from the actual CD, or you can install it so it's permanently installed alongside of Windows on your existing computer, or if you're setting it up from scratch for kids or for business. So there are two different ways: running it from the CD or installing it on the computer. So in my case, I have it installed here in one of my computers, and this is to give you a concept of how it actually works, or what it looks like in a Linux operating system. So it's nothing like a mystery. So it has a graphical user interface, and in a moment here it's going to ask us to log in. As far as the speed, it's very comparable to Windows 7 and Windows 8. So in this case, it's going to ask us to log in, put in the password, and then it's going to load the desktop. The desktop is going to look fairly similar to Windows 7 that we just saw earlier. So we have the desktop, we have the list of applications here. On the very top right, we have like the task manager. So as we see, we have the desktop here, and unfortunately for the sake of recording, it's not resizing it properly. But we have the file menu, edit, and some other options. On the right hand side, we have all the listing of devices, very similar to Windows, except that the taskbar here, it's in the very top rather than in the bottom of the screen. We also have the option here for logging out, restarting the computer, and this is under this gears on the right hand side. So notice what they have done is basically comes preloaded. You don't have to really do a whole lot of stuff to it. You can simply, if you want to access the files, like this is going like to my computer in Windows. You have all the files like pictures, documents, downloads, and stuff like that. And then if you want to go back home, click on the dash home here. It takes you to the home screen. Then if we wanted to open a browser, notice Firefox, it's already installed automatically. You'll open Firefox. And it's very similar to Windows. You can browse the web and do all the stuff that you'd be doing on the computer. If you need to type a document, it comes preloaded, so you don't have to pay for productivity software as well. It comes preloaded with LibreOffice. So click on it. So basically you can do almost everything that you'll be doing in Windows. You can do it by running it on Ubuntu, and it's a free operating system. It saves you, it saves your company money. Now for home use, this would come in very handy as well for kids if you're playing just games or getting online and you're worried about virus protection and so on. In Ubuntu, it's much harder for that computer to be infected with viruses, so it is a better solution for using it with kids at home. If you had to update it to go and get different versions or different other applications to download on the computer, you'd go under the Ubuntu Software Center and you can go and download all kinds of other stuff. You can download a lot of games and productivity software and whatever you're interested in downloading. If you wanted to customize the desktop, this is very similar to Control Panel in Windows. You can scroll down here on the left and go under the System Settings, and like we saw in Windows, you can customize the appearance, and it's actually cleaner and more organized actually to some extent. And these are things that you can customize. It's a very similar look and feel like in the Macs as well. Like notice to close an application, it's here on the top left with the little minus or the X. So this is a very brief overview of a Linux operating system. It's, as you can see, it's very powerful. It's free for one thing, can't beat that. And it's very versatile and much safer than Windows, especially on the web there. So I'd say give it a try. And don't throw that old computer away. If it still functions, you could probably put Ubuntu in there and reuse it. To shut it down, we click here on the top right and choose Restart or Shut Down. So the idea is that even those other operating systems, they pretty much work the same. You just have to keep in mind some of the general concepts of how the computer works, how you open files, how you store files, how you create folders, and then it doesn't matter what operating system you're going to have. It's just a matter of tinkering with it, and the functionality, the basic functionality is the same across all operating systems.